Hello and thanks for joining us on NDA International News. At this time, my name is Dennis Adigunloye. First, the headlines. Eligible voters file out to exercise their franchise in Kogi and Bayelsa state governorship elections. Federal government kicks off campaign on vaccination of children against measles and meningitis. Troops neutralize 5 Boko Haram terrorists. And now the news in detail. Eligible voters in Kogi State came out en masse to exercise their franchise in the governorship election in the state. Election observers describe the exercise as being largely peaceful.
As early as 8 in the morning, eligible voters in Kogi State converged from various polling units to vote for the candidate of their choice. Reports say there was enough voting materials in all the polling units across the state. The incumbent governor, Yaya Bello, and other governorship candidates voted in their various polling units.
Reports I'm receiving from various other places have been very, very wonderful and encouraging. Very excellent, very wonderful exercise so far. And I hope it's going to end in praise. And the good people of this state will have more confidence in the security agencies and in the whole process.
Some of the people who spoke to NTA News judged the election as peaceful. The governorship election in Kogi State was conducted simultaneously with a fresh election in the Kogi West Senatorial District. This is due to a Court of Appeals decision which nullified the election of the former occupant of the seat from Kogi West Senatorial District in the Senate.
Okay.
This is very, very beautiful and it's been peacefully throughout this morning. The things have been in good faith and there was no disruption of the process. It was very peaceful. All the electors conducted themselves peacefully and after the accreditation, the voting was done properly. And there are some people who are heading for the collation camp by the INEC officials who are on duty. And the whole thing has been happily done.
Collation of results is ongoing as at the time of filing this report. Security agencies provided watertight security during the conduct of the election.
And from Bayelsa State comes the report that there was a large turnout of voters in the governorship election that took place this Saturday.
The early morning rain did not deter eligible voters across the 8 local government areas in Bayelsa State from coming out to exercise their civic rights. Electorate election freely voted for the candidates of their choice in a transparent manner. Political bigwigs in the state from different political parties participated in the exercise.
Let me use this opportunity to call people of Bayelsa State and Kogi State. Make sure that the elections are peaceful. Because we cannot conduct elections in the crash situation. If we really want good leaders, then we, the so-called followers, we the citizens, must conduct ourselves in a way that our elections will produce the leaders we want.
The INEC has been progressively improving. Every year, the processes improve, and I think we have a better outing for INEC. And this election appears to be better than the last election. It has not finished yet. It's not, the jury is not out yet, so it's not time to assess them. But I believe, for what I'm seeing, that INEC has improved quite significantly.
The exercise was peaceful and orderly as voters decided who will lead the state in the next 4 years as governor.
It has been very peaceful. Today is a glorious day for us. No violence, no crisis. It has been very, very peaceful.
How old are you?
Yes, 73.
73. Then what motivated you to come out?
Yeah, today is very important for everybody because the better person be at the government affair. The benefit of democracy will affect us here.
Counting of ballots has ended as collation of results is in progress. Security operatives were on hand.
On to some other top stories now. President Muhammadu Buhari is back in Abuja. The nation capital after a private visit to the United Kingdom. State House correspondent reports that the president, who returned to the country 2 days ahead of schedule, restated his commitment to probity and accountability.
The Nigerian Air Force 001 aircraft conveying President Muhammadu Buhari taxied to a halt at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at exactly 9:45 Friday evening local time. On hand to receive him were his Chief of Staff Abba Kyari, Minister of the FCT Mohammed Musa Bello, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, and representatives of other service chiefs. Also at the airport include the Inspector General of Police Muhammad Adamu, Director General, Department of State Services Yusuf Magaji Bichi, Acting Chairman of the EFCC Ibrahim Magu, and other top government functionaries.
What next after your well-deserved racing conduct?
We are going to work harder to be accountable and try to make Nigerians understand why we do certain things. Accountability from bottom to top is absolutely necessary. Whoever is responsible for government property, is public property, it's not personal. He has to do it according to the law. That's what I expect. And I think we have been around long enough to impress people that we mean what we say.
President Buhari also used the opportunity to clear the air on the ongoing reorganization in government as a deliberate attempt at enhancing effective service delivery.
They said 35 people were sacked in Vice President's office. We just created a ministry and we reorganized, and people are giving it ethnic and political dimension. It's unfortunate.
During the visit to London, which lasted 13 days, President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law the amended Deep Offshore Act. The critical act dismantled major obstacles to Nigeria getting its fair, rightful, and equitable share of income from oil production. President Buhari was also joined by the Minister of Education Adamu and other stakeholders to engage the management of Pearson Educational Group on ways of enhancing the development of education in Nigeria. Also in London, the President was at the Lambeth Palace for high-level talks with the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend Justin Welby. Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now, following the need for the development of local content in the oil and gas industry, the Presidential Amnesty Program has trained 400 Niger Delta indigents on offshore and offshore safety management. The 6-month training, which was also centered on safety and risk management, as well as occupational health and physical security strategies, prepares the youths in the region for the opportunities in the petroleum sector. Presenting certificates to the trainees in Abonnema River State, coordinator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, Professor Charles Dokubo, urged the people to use the skills for economic growth.
Since the oil and gas industry is the mainstay of the country's economy, we need the personnel to also take job and all that. If we don't have that and continue to complain that we have been marginalized and ostracized, it doesn't address the issue. For us, the most important thing is that our people are qualified, certificated, that gives them the right to work in this oil and gas environment.
This was opportunity I looked for, I searched for years. But I thank Almighty God and the coordinator for Amnesty Program for bringing this to the community. I'm a competent firefighter now. I can fight fire wherever I see fire breakouts.
Professor Charles Kubo confirmed that middle and lower level career training in the oil and gas industry is ongoing in all the Niger Delta states. And to security matters now, 5 Boko Haram terrorists have been killed in a counterattack by troops. A statement by the Nigerian Army Operations Media Coordinator, Colonel Aminu Aliasu, says the terrorists on a revenge mission were eliminated by troops of 64 and 98 Task Force Battalion and elements of the Armed Forces, Special Forces at Malam Fatori, Abadan, local government area of Borno State. Gun trucks, anti-aircraft and rocket-propelled guns were among arms recovered from the encounter. 16 terrorists were recently killed in Malam Fatori. And with a prevalence rate of more than 8% in Nigeria, hepatitis accounts for about 1 million deaths around the world annually. To curb the spread of the viral disease within the force, the Nigerian Air Force is educating its personnel on preventive measures. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa was at one of the lecture series and brings us this report.
Hepatitis with type A, B, C, D, and E is an infection of the liver, the largest internal organ of the body that performs about 500 functions. It is contractual through contact with contaminated food, utensils, blood, or unprotected sexual intercourse. Experts here say hepatitis ravages due to lack of awareness.
28 million Nigerians today are positive for hepatitis B. Of these 28 million, if you look at them medically, using all the sophisticated investigation we are going to do, you will see that only less than 2-3 million of them will have problem with their liver or inflammation going on or chronic hepatitis. So majority of people that are diagnosed with surface antigen are what we call inactive carriers.
Aware of combating different interactions in different internal security operations across the country, this sensitization and screening is proactive against infection.
The service has therefore taken serious measures to ensure that hepatitis and other similar diseases do not pose a challenge to our operational readiness.
With today's lecture, been able to know what hepatitis really is, the causes, the way of contaction, and the method of treatment.
About 325 million persons are said to be affected with the disease. Ismail Musa, NT News.
In the meantime, ahead of the 2019 World Toilet Day commemoration on the 19th of this month, the Federal Ministry of Environment has embarked on a 10,000-man march against open defecation in Nigeria. The federal government is worried that about an estimated 4.7 million Nigerians live without toilets, causing deaths, especially among children, as a result of ailments like diarrhea.
Private individuals can, leverage on that. Build toilets, commercialize it, make it available and affordable. Also, in your homes, people need to have affordable and clean toilets. Those ones you mentioned that government, located in some areas, is just a pilot, and you cannot take it that they are not working, they are not clean, because after building, government normally hands it over to either the community or a group of people that should manage it. Possibly those ones are not managing it very well, so those people should be held responsible, not government that has just helped them by locating the toilets in those areas.
The theme for the 2019 World Toilet Day is Toilets for All, focusing on leaving no one behind. You are watching the news on NTA International. We'll take a short break now. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Have you been thinking about coming to Nigeria? Then what are you waiting for? Come share in our wealth of vast resources. Come discover treasure. Come to where there's lots of business opportunities. Nigeria. Nigeria, my nation, my pride.
NTAI has gone mobile. Catch your favorite programs anywhere in the world. by going to Play Store on Android and App Store on iOS. Search for Vision TV UK, download and install. Then you're good to go.
Thanks for remaining with us. Now, Nigeria's campaign against open defecation gains momentum with the flag-off of the Open Defecation-Free Cities exercise in the Garki village area of Abuja, bringing the Federal Capital Territory on board the train. Daniel Adiriye was there and tells us more.
Good hygiene, they say, breeds good health. And it is for this reason that the Action Initiative Against Open Defecation in Nigeria, the Ministry of Environment, and the Abuja Environmental Protection Board are collaborating to end open defecation in the Garki village area of the city.
We are determined to see that this is achievable and this is sustainable and this is doable. Garki, by the grace of God, in the next few months from now, not long from now, in the next 6 months, we should be certified ODF.
Abuja Environmental Protection Board, the NGOs and other agencies cannot do it alone without involving the community. Therefore, the community should also plan with us and accept whatever we are doing.
The flag of event, representatives of key government agencies and community leaders lauded the action and pledged their unwavering support towards realizing a Garki community that is open defecation free.
We really appreciate your coming and we assure you our commitment, our availability, and we will be with you people throughout the program.
This is not an issue for government, really. It is an issue for individuals. When we come together to help ourselves, we cut down on our hospital visits and there is more money in our pockets.
The flag-off also saw the inauguration of environmental marshals. 14 local governments across the states have, however, attained the status. Abuja, Daniel Adiriye, NT News.
Let's stay with health matters as the federal government has kicked off a campaign to vaccinate children against measles and meningitis in 19 northern states, including the Federal Capital Territory. This is part of the efforts to boost the immunity of children against the diseases. The campaign, which is implemented through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and the World Health Organization, with support from Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, is expected to reach more than 28 million children with life-saving vaccines. A report from WHO indicates that the states that benefit are Bauchi, Benue, Borno, Kano, Katsina, Plateau, Taraba, Niger, Adamawa, Kaduna, and Sokoto. Other states include Gombe, Jigawa, Kebbi, Nasarawa, Yobe, Zamfara, and Kwara. Speaking on preparations for the campaign, Dr. Joseph Oteri, Director of Disease Control and Immunization, said measles is a highly contagious respiratory viral disease with increased mortality and morbidity in children under 5 years. Nigeria has experienced repeated outbreaks of measles in recent years due to low routine immunization coverage. In addition, Nigeria is within the meningitis belt where the incidence rate is very high, especially in the north. This, he said, is in line with government's commitment to ensuring every eligible child is reached with these life-saving vaccines. Now, in other news, some persons in Kano and Kebbi states in connection with the production of illegal number plates, including the fake Kano chip whip number plate, have been arrested. The arrests were made through the concerted efforts by the Federal Road Safety Commission and the Departments of State Security. A statement by BC Kazim, the Core Public Education Officer, reveals that the Corps Marshal Buye Oyeyemi, after gathering some intelligence, alerted the DSS and effected the arrests at different locations in Kano and Kebbi. The suspects have been charged to court. President Muhammadu Buhari has given approval for the commencement of e-operations by the Nigeria Customs Service. Comptroller General of Customs Hamid Ali, who made this known at the 2019 graduation of officers of Senior Course 3 at the Nigeria Customs Command and Staff College. Gwagwalada stressed that customs officers without computer literacy will soon be irrelevant to the service. Mitari Ikpen reports.
For the last 5 months, these senior customs officers have been tutored on smart border operations in line with international best practices. Part of the training was tour to Uganda, Gambia, Ghana and Cameroon for the participants to be abreast with 21st century customs conventions.
So things like electronic cargo tracking, all these are things requirements for a seamless border.
As a nation, we are not doing too bad, but at the same time, there are some new things that we need to adopt.
Comptroller General of Customs, Hamid Ali, urged every officer of the service to brace up for e-operations.
We are now in the age of technology. Technologies don't work by themselves. Artificial intelligence are also driven by people. Even if we deploy such, and if we have the money to do that, we need capable hands that can drive those processes.
Change has come to the Nigerian Customs Service and we must be prepared to embrace it.
Beyond the graduation, a fallout for many dignitaries, including Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State, is the impact of the closure of Nigeria's land borders with neighboring countries.
Nigeria must grow its own internal capacity. We will not do so if we allow our neighbors to use the porosity of our borders to sabotage our economy. It is a commendable step and we must sustain it until we have a deal that covers everyone.
I will advocate and I said it is not good for us to close and rush to open.
They advised the Nigeria Customs Service to utilize the border closure to sanitize its operations at the various borders. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
On the foreign scene, protests have erupted across Iran after government unexpectedly announced it was rationing petrol and increasing its price. At least 2 people have been killed. Prices rose by at least 50% on Friday as subsidies on petrol were reduced. The authorities say they want to free up money to help the poor. Iran is already suffering economically due to stiff sanctions imposed by the US after Washington decided to pull out of the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. 1 person was killed during the protests in the central city of Sirjan. The state news agency said there were clashes with police when protesters attacked a fuel storage warehouse and tried to set it on fire. Several more people were injured. And Super Eagles Nigeria to take on Lesotho on Sunday in their second game of 2021 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. We will have this report for you in our subsequent bulletins. Next is a quick check on Sunday's weather prospects for Nigeria and some cities of the world. Coming up, that will then be the conclusion of NTA International News at this time. I'm Dennis Ademo. Many thanks for watching. We'll see you again.